Content warnings. This episode contains mentions of anti-Semitism, colonialism, and clowns.
Gemini, 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 movie podcast. Gemini, 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 movie podcast.
Hello everybody to Gemini Movies, everyone's favorite movie podcast where we cover movies from the Wikipedia to a Gemini list, explain the context and say which movie we like the most. I'm your host, Alice Water, and my co-host is...
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. Free Palestine. Yeah. I'm Ludo. We're talking about the musicals today. Is everybody excited to talk about two Christian musicals?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Jesus Christ himself.
The Big J.
Mr. Z.
Okay, but before we get into that, let's talk about our last month. What we've been up to.
Yeah.
So everybody can get settled in.
Yeah, okay. Start with yourself, Ludo.
Okay, so this month I've been mostly planning my vacation for next month. By the next podcast, me and Alice will have met in real life.
Yeah, we're gonna podcast us live. No, we're not.
Yeah, we're totally gonna record in Portugal with my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been a lot of the month. Went to a party at the start of the month. I think I went to watch a movie this month in the theaters. What's the new Frank Miller called? 3,000 Years of Longing? Yeah. That one's okay,
Miller.
I think.
George Miller.
Yeah, Frank Miller's the bad guy.
Yeah.
He's the bad man.
Yeah.
So yeah, George Miller. That one was all right. We watched a ton of movies on movie nights, as always. Been continuing Riverdale, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
I finished Steven Universe. That was pretty cool. It's an enjoyable show.
Oh.
Then I learned about the Steven Universe haters, and now I'm just not talking about it on certain spaces. So yeah, that was basically my experience this month. Yeah, can't really... I guess we watched some movies that are noticeable. This week we watched... what was it called? The movie with spirits in the title.
Spirits?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Restless Spirits?
Yeah, something like that. Oh,
yeah, something like
Consuming Spirits.
Consuming Spirits, which is a very interesting indie animated movie that is very wild.
Yeah, very fascinating thing.
Yeah. That's probably the most remarkable of the last month that we watched. Yeah, that's basically it for me.
Yeah.
And you, Alice?
I've been mostly just preparing for something for the next month, or for next year that I'm excited for. I've been just doing some things, also doing a lot of works, etc., stuff like that. I've also, in my private time, not talking about movie nights, I've been consuming some things, most on movie nights, like I said, but also watching some stuff. I've been watching... The big stuff I've been watching mostly has been, first there was Futopia. It's anime based on a Kamen Rider show called Kamen Rider Lab. It was a detective show. That's what Kamen Rider show. It's pretty fun. The manga it's based, that's a sequel to the show. It's incredibly horny though, which is weird because it's a kid show, Kamen Rider. Even if it's more for teens, but yeah, the manga is incredibly horny, the anime is also incredibly horny, but it's mostly fine besides that. After that, I've been watching. I've been watching Kadefen. I think it's pronounced. It's a kind of very interesting 2000s BBC mystery show about. It's basically like Name of the Rose, but set in like Welsh, like Bulalands during that period of time.
Okay.
And basically there's like a monk guy that shows up solving crimes. It's honestly very interesting. It's kind of different from like your typical like even like your typical detective. So a lot of it talks about like the politics of that era of medieval like England and Wales. There's a lot of issues about like religion, class divisions.
That sounds actually pretty interesting.
Where just the mystery happens. A lot of it, the main actor is, you might know this, Derek Zachary, like an old British actor guy that shows up in a lot of like British media.
I would probably recognize him if I saw him.
Yeah, it's actually very theatrical. The way it's very stage play, characters speaking like long monologues and soliloquies, but in a way that fits. It all fits like you're watching like this stage play about that has some murder, but that's what it's about like medieval politics and theater. It's pretty good, like because it's a British show. It's only like every season's only like 6 episodes and it's an hour long, and it's a pretty interesting little wide. Another last thing I've been enjoying lately is I've been reading also recently. I've been reading Gege no Kitaro, which is a very much historical like yokai manga. That the thing it does. Like it was basically the foundation for a lot of like yokai myths and everything. The later adaptations in anime are much more kid friendly, but the original manga is just hollow. Like people die, like a lot of people just die. There's a lot of body horror happening, a lot of like folk horror. Also, the way it's drawn, you just get a lot of very intensely goofy designs combined with horror. Like Dracula shows up in like one of the acts. That's like a weird thing about basic traditional elements of Japan and Europe showing up to unite to defeat Japan, which is a very interesting commentary of like Japanese fascism working with European fascism. It's a very good like little horror comic. After that, nothing more I think. Oh no, okay. I've been watching House of Dragons. I've been watching everyone's favorite Game of Thrones spin-off. I don't think it's good at all. It kind of is still Game of Thrones. It's very graphic. It's very much just feeling like misery. There's some interesting things, but it's still just that. But hey, shouts out to Matt Smith. He looks like he's just a medieval cosplay in that. It's very funny. I saw
the pictures.
Yeah, if you watch House of Dragons, get hyped for some Matt Smith medieval cosplay hours. It's very good. And that's gonna be that's been my month basically.
Okay. So before we bring you back into the ancient time of 1973, how did you like these two movies, Alice?
Okay, I'm gonna start with Godspell, which my accent is. That sort was a movie. It only existed. It existed like Jesus existed, I guess. I don't know. It's anyway.
Some people would question that second part.
Yes, listen, this is not the podcast for atheists. We get to inform you.
Holy shit.
I'm not anti-atheist, just not a big fan of the online ones. Anyway, but yeah, it's probably one of the worst things I've watched. I think we're gonna go more like deeper into this. But the thing is, it's just very much like it takes Jesus and takes a play that from what I've seen was a bit radical, a bit experimental inside, and just basically it just feels so apolitical. Even it's bizarre to say this in an honest way, not a bad faith way, but it feels religiousness, like they removed all the religiousness of this thing about Christ and just made it kind of like nothing. they just like removed everything. And just so you have this kind of nothing much that's very annoying to watch and listen to. And then, this is quite Superstar though. I think it's fantastic. It has issues like we're going to talk about. I think fundamentally, it gets Jesus. It gets the emotional concept of the scatters. It portrays them with nuance. And a lot of the songs, the music is genuinely very good. It's different, it's diverse. There's some very good numbers. I really like it. It's a good time overall.
Yeah. I agree with a lot of these points. I'm gonna try to go easy on Godspell. That's like my mission statement today.
Wow.
Because like, to me, it's never like a contest of which is the movie that is like better or something. But like it would be kind of counterproductive to just always have one movie you like and you tell everybody it's cool, then have one movie you hate and then you just like rant about it like it's a Nostalgia Critic video.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to go easy on Godspell, but also be assured I fucking hate this movie. It's annoying. It's very annoying to watch. I get that they are supposed to be clowns, but the thing with clowns is they're funny. This movie isn't funny.
Yeah, I like the Zolkon. He's a funny man. I like this movie.
Yeah. So Godspell is a very mixed bag and more on the bad side of mixed. And Jesus Christ Superstar. Gotta say, this one's pretty good. Can see why this one is still like very popular, and it's well acted, well shot, well composed. It has all the good stuff. And some controversy we're gonna get into. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically my overview. Now, let's warp back to 1973. Let's take the time machine. I think you all heard about these things like, I don't know, the Vietnam War and the summer of '69.
Yeah.
Those are like just either it's still happening or it just had happened. And it is very much felt in both of these. It's interesting because Godspell has kind of a weird, naive optimism, right? That is very hippie-like.
Uh-huh.
And Jesus Christ Superstar does more, I say, applies more of a critical lens to the Bible.
Uh-huh.
It is a bit more interesting in how it reworks that stuff. But it's very interesting how you see like these two different interpretations of like a countercultural reinterpretation of the text.
Yeah, because at that time, this is not just in America, at the time, the 60s and 70s, like, there was always like counterculture, like leftists, or like even just liberal, like Whedon's of Caesars. But you said in the 60s and 70s that there was a lot of like kind of hippie Christianism. That ties a lot into also like the New Age movement and stuff like that. So you see a lot of trying to bring back Caesars to its more radical roots. That for a year was Western now it's like was maintained instead by this like kind of like centrism of like just this conservative like blends on Jesus and the Bible.
Yeah, like Godspell's attempt was also kind of that. And maybe it does translate better on the stage play. I imagine it.
Yeah.
But in the movie, it sure doesn't work. But we'll get to that. I think that's all the tone setting we need for like 1973, because like most people know about the 60s counterculture, hippies, and the student revolts. And we're not enough of a history podcast to like give you the full download of that.
Yeah.
But by 1973, a lot of that was basically already over, and we had like a swapping over of a lot of these things into mainstream culture through like movies and musicals and the like. So this is kind of the result, these two movies, of that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, do we want to get into the thick of it?
Yes, that's good.
Compare and contrast.
Just like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go.
Let's start with the cast of Jesus Christ Superstar. What do you think, Alice?
Yeah, okay, let's first say the actor names. First we have Ted Haley as Jesus Christ, Callis Allison as Judas Iscariot, Yvonne Elliman as Mary Magdalene, Barry Dennen as Pontius Pilate, Bob Billingen as Caiaphas, Larry Master as Simon Zealots, Zos Moster as King Herod, Kurt Worthing, sorry I cannot pronounce this, as Annas, and Philip Towers as Peter. I think the performances are very good. I think there are these people like trained musicians, like people who played in these days, and you can notice they are sing very well. This is a musical with almost no spoken word dialogue. It's all music, and I think they put a lot of emotionality, specific like Ted Neely, the Jesus Christ actor. One of my specific favorite songs is when Jesus is like confronted by these people begging him or asking him to solve this for them or like heal them, and you can feel just the emotionality of those of Jesus, both as he felt like he's being overwhelmed by these requests, but that's why he feels like he can just he cannot fulfill everyone's requests, and you can also just feel as the singing of the background people. A lot of the background people in this actually are very good as well. I think Carl Allison's performance is very good, very dramatic, very bravado. There's a lot of emotionality in every Judas song, and how you feel no one's of Judas is not just a bad guy that betrays Jesus, it's like a human being. Same thing with Mary Magdalene's, like with the actress for Mary Magdalene, you feel a lot of genuine love for Jesus and emotionality. And a lot of this, I think it's very good acting. It's very good just performance in general. Because again, it's all just music. It's all best sing, very emotional. It's kind of dramatic, but it feels very much with the music adaptation, with like a stage thing.
Yeah. I fully agree. Like, this is well acted throughout. Ted Neely and Yvonne Elliman do a great job. Like, they make me care when they sing, and like their expressions are very draw you in. But Carl Anderson is definitely the standout performance here.
Yeah.
Like, both his singing and acting are like just out of control. It's really powerful.
Yeah, like you can notice why when a lot of people think of the depictions of Judas in media, a lot of people still think of this Judas because besides we're talking this in the writing, besides just how nuanced the writing actually surprising can be, it's like there's so much Carlson doing so much with the Judas songs. He's putting so much into it, so much emotion, and you feel Judas is like this person who's not just an evil person, like a three-dimensional person with complexities and like paradoxes with who he is.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna be a thing in plot and writing I'm gonna talk about.
Yeah. The actor performances are good. There's issues with how the Romans are depicted are like just King Herod, but as acting and performance, it's all very good. And all fits like it all fits the bias types they're using because the music here is very bad, so they all feel very different and perform very different often, and it's very good.
Yeah.
Anything
Godspell.
Okay, let's go. We have Victor Gavel as Jesus Christ, Katie Hanley as Katie the Innovators, David Haskell as John the Baptist and Judas Iscariot, Mel Saxton as Mel, a gamma trader, Zoan Jonas as Zoan, the Barrett dancer, Warvin Mount as Warvin, a window serpent, Gilmore McCormick as Gilmore, a model, Jeffrey Mead as Jeffrey, a taxi driver, Zelly Scarcer, as Zelly, a packing attendant, Lean Tigpan as Lean, a college student, Um, okay, here's the thing. I'm not going to insult any performers. I think any performer, even if I don't think they do a good work, deserves to be respected. Just how I explain this is very much the acting in Godspell is not good. A lot because of the direction of it. It's not good. It's mostly because the characters are like taught to act and perform like kids, basically. Like they just all are very annoying and very much trying to feel what like it feels like what the 70-year-old at that time feels hip kids do. They kind of bounce around, do clowning things, like they do bow bear, but it's all so annoying, and it's just the annoyance goes into the acting. Like I cannot tell if the acting is good or bad because it's so annoying that I cannot tell honestly, because I'm just annoyed by how it's done.
Yeah.
Like even just the songs are done in this weird style that there's a making of the movie that was done for some TV show, I think, where the director goes about, we talk about this in music, where the director just talks about how this is not some posh music, this is not West Side Story, this is for the like we your kids do, and it's just like this extremely feels like a 70-year-old guy in the 70s. This is what he thinks the hip kids are. They are annoying, they pass around, they do comical acts. It's just annoying to me. It's sorry, like I said, I don't want to insult anything. I'm so the actor in not the words they handle fine, but it just feels so annoying. The acting is consumed by how much it's like the script of this thing.
Yeah. I think some of that is hard baked from the musical because like they're supposed to be clowns, but also like I said, they would have to be funny for me to like enjoy this. And they're not funny, they're just goofy and infantile.
Yeah, like just to, because we're going to cover this in other segments, but just to explain how Godspell works, a lot of it is just like non-sequential segments of the cast just goofing around. And from what I've been informed, from research I did, a lot of this was improv. A lot of this was not scripted or anything, there's just improv, including some of the music. And you can feel like a lot of scenes are just people hanging around, like playing with puppets or something, and they just say some nonsense. And you can feel that
they actually quote a lot of the Gospel of St. Matthew, but the thing is, it happens in tandem of them like jumping around and making silly faces, and it's the most jarring experience I ever had with any Bible-related thing, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the issue. Like I said, this is weird because I think this sometimes can happen with media, but it's a experience for me. Well, like I mentioned, the script is so tied by its weirdness, and also by some parts being improv. And like, I just cannot tell. I cannot tell what makes good acting because I just dislike engaging with this type of thing. What's happening on the screen?
Yeah. The thing is, these are all stage actors actually, and for the most part, they never directed a movie, or they never starred in a movie.
Yeah.
So it really, the director said he tried to like translate it so they're more movie acting, but they're still like stage acting. They're making like very big gestures. They're over exaggerating every emotion they have. Yeah. It just feels bad to watch in a movie.
Yeah, it's like the thing like theater. We're gonna talk about this later. But like theater is like a very artificial thing. It's a thing. There's a reason why you call it like over the top acting, often theatrical. It's like there's a reason. Theater is built in a way where like it embraces artifice. It embraces the weird, the bizarre, the melodramatic. Because you cannot do realism in theater, or like what the mainstream assumes realism is, and that works for theater. But when you put that in a movie, there's different ways in how movies do that. Even not official movies, even movies with melodrama. So it just seems all very off. It all seems very off.
Okay, here's where I dropped a surprise. Lynn Thigpen, does that ring any bells?
No, who's that?
So Lynn Thigpen, she's the black actress in this. And
Yeah.
this is her first movie appearance. She later starred in Carmen Sandiego and Bear in the Big Blue House as like Luna, the moon.
Oh. Huh.
But that's not the big surprise. The big surprise is she was on Gemini movies before.
What?
She is the radio announcer in The Warriors that you
Holy
only see the
shit.
lips of.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I was very surprised to learn that this was her first movie.
Well, she's a very bad actress later on.
Her acting here is actually like she's the least annoying to me.
Yeah.
She's the least annoying, and her voice is really good. Like from a singing standpoint, none of these actors really annoy me. Just from an acting standpoint, they sometimes are very badly directed or very much playing to the cheap seats when they're in a close up, which is just jarring.
Yeah. It's. Thank you for dropping that, Lana.
Yeah, it's very cool that we now have interconnections between different Gemini movie episodes.
Yeah, but yeah, I think the thing to sum it up, I think it's just it very much feels like you said, there's very much a lot of angles here with a lot of it. It's just how it does not it feels like a the movie does not go into being like a stage play. So the acting, because they were like theaters performers, feels very off, and that's combined with like a very bad script just makes this like it just makes it annoying. Like I said this before a million times, it makes it very annoying to engage with, and like it's kind of sad because like that performer was very good in lots of things. Like I really like her role in The Warriors, and also her role as the moon in Big Red House. So like these people are talented. It's just not. It's just this is not the movie. This is a mess. Not say this is not the movie. This is a whole mess. This is how describes Godspell. It's a mess.
Yeah. Okay, I think we got that out of our system.
Yeah.
Let's go to the plot. Jesus Christ Superstar.
I think Jesus Christ Superstar in its plot is very good. I'm some people might know this that hang along with me. I'm Catholic. I live in a part of Portugal that's very Catholic. Portugal is a very Catholic country. I've seen a lot of Jesus movies. I've seen this part of the Bible adapted a million times. But as an adaptation of that part of the Bible, I think it's probably one of the better ones. Like, the beats for beat is the thing I grew up on culturally, the references and everything. But the way the script adds emotionality in like moments is very good. Like there's like the start of the movie is them going in the bus. There's a recurring theme with this movie is just using like modern imagery to like combine with the ancient imagery, which spices things a bit up. I like a lot of the moments and how the plot goes. Like I like how they deal with Jesus like not believing himself, and how that ties with the songs. Is how like the feeling of like, can I be with like the savior, like in this movie the superstar? Can I actually help people? And then how that combines with the elements they adapt from Zuldas about how this thing's about betrayal, about believing if having doubts if Jesus is gonna really save people, and like Mary Magdalene's like love for Jesus. I think as an adaptation of that goes very well. And I think the pacing is very fast. Correct me, but the movie's not 2 hours, right?
I don't think it's a full 2 hours. It's like 1 hour 40 or something.
Yeah, the movie pacing is very fast. It goes song after song, but these songs sets up an element like the song setting up plot points. Or songs setting up. They're now in Rome. They're now in this city. Now Jesus is dying, and all the songs and how they put the parts of the plot. Even when it's just like a moment or like 1 minute, it's perfect. It sets up things very perfect from A to B to Z. We're setting up the characters, the emotionality of it all. Like, I guess I'm saying more about the script and everything. this is an adaptation, but like this is an adaptation of a very much known part of the Bible, and it's an adaptation in how they adapt those parts of like Jesus' emotion, Jesus as a character, as like Judas as a character, the elements of like how they go to, the elements of how they adapt like them going to various parts of like the revolt, doing the betrayal, like just the things. It's all very well done. It's very well adapted. It's very well added nuanced in elements. It's cool though.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying, Ludo?
Yeah, I fully understand. Like, even as a non-Christian, I found this very engaging because, like, this is a story everybody knows. So the way they put like some twists on it and like mixed in these modern elements and basically told almost all of the story just through song. It was very effective and affective. Like, it pulls you in. Like, you care for these characters even if you have seen versions of them 100 times. I liked how they like threw in all this military equipment stuff.
yeah.
Which is probably from the army of Israel.
Yeah.
But the way it's used is very cool, like as this almost ill portent of like the Romans who are gonna crush Jesus. Like the tanks that drive towards Judas, as he basically prophesizes that Jesus is gonna die or he's gonna fail.
Yeah, and when they go like the setting, there's some like guns and other stuff. Like there's just to show like a symbol of like, wow, like dangerousness, like this and that.
There's the sin of sex workers and guns and Tel Aviv postal cards.
Well,
yeah, that's the biggest sin. But yeah, it's very interestingly done. I think the plot also moves really good and fast. Like, there's always something happening. Every song is like pushing the characters forward and developing them. Like, the first songs basically perfectly establishes the relationship between Judas and Jesus. Mm-hmm. And from there on, it just escalates very well. I also kind of see like the seeds of Scorsese's Last Temptation of Christ in that one song where like Jesus talks to God like about his sacrifice and if it's really necessary and all that stuff.
That makes a good point. I never thought about that, but that makes a good point.
Yeah, like it really reminds me of that Last Temptation moment of like him doubting God or him looking for a sign of him. It's very interesting. Yeah, it's very good. And it does interesting stuff with the source material. Of course, we kind of have to, I guess, address the anti-Semitism and the allegations.
Yeah.
We're not Jewish both, so we can't like give you the definite take on this. But there was a lot of backlash from different branches of like the Jewish faith against this movie, mostly for the betrayal of the priests. The way they're basically just the villains, like in an old school passion play.
Yeah. Like we said, we are both not Jewish. We don't have like a lot. We're not gonna like. We cannot say if this is anti-Semitic or not. The only thing I can really say is like, in general, I think there's some bad shit in how the Romans are depicted. Most importantly, also even beyond the Romans, just King Herod. Like just
King Herod is just he's depicted like a rich Jewish, basically record label owner or something.
Yeah, half of his songs is like
old Broadway number.
Yeah, and like if you put like the history of like Broadway and Jewishness, it's like it becomes a bit uncomfortable, even for like a non-Jewish person, if you just think about it a bit.
Yeah, and him having the giant gold chain and everything.
Like some of this does come from like anti-Semitism and like the New Testament, but also like this was written by two, as far as I can tell, You can correct me, Ludo. Both Android Web and Tim Weiss were not Swiss, right?
No.
So like, they
And
both.
just for the information of the listener, the director of the movie, who is called Jewison, is also not Jewish.
It's like these were like both two. I think both of them are Anglican. They're sort of like two Christian, like theater people from 70s UK, playing with stuff that's already very like. At best, you can say it's messy. At worst, it's very violent. So like,
Yeah, if you look
so
at the
like-
history of Passion Plays, there's like a lot going on there that you can draw until the current day of like the Passion of Christ, like the movie.
Yeah.
Like this has been a thing for hundreds of years, like having like very anti-Semitic elements in those adaptations.
So yeah, like again, we're not gonna not decide if it's anti-Semitic or not. But like, just there's some bad stuff, and I don't want to like pass away the bad stuff.
We will link article of the Canadian Jewish Times, I think, is the newspaper.
Yeah.
And that goes like really into the history of like the backlash and the director's relationship to like Judaism. And I think they have like more of a good overview of what's in there and how the reactions were than we could like deliver.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we go to this is the hardest part for me, by the way, when I took notes. This next part, like oh no, we have to go to the plot of Godspell. Curse me.
Yeah, we're gonna go to.
I wanted to skip it, to be honest.
No, we're gonna have to go. Well, so okay, let's. So with plot of Godspell, we need to explain how the gods play. From what I understand, here's how the Godspell play worked. Basically, it was a bunch of like actors in a theater stage with no interconnectionality, just doing Jesus parables as like short stuff. This is a very much like popular way of doing like experimental theater, because again, theater lends itself to the artificial and the weird and the bizarre, because how theater is materially made. So like there's a lot of plays that do one shot, they're not connected, so you just meet a bunch of people, just the characters interacting with you. The theater in the people in the theater. How this is translated, it's basically just a bunch of people. The movie is just a bunch of people in New York actually doing some Jesus parables, but just mucking around and walking around and being clowns, basically.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. And what annoys me so much is the framing device at the start. Like they show all these people living their everyday New York life, and then suddenly Jesus shows up, they get baptized, and all the people from New York disappear until the end of the movie. And then at the end of the movie, we don't get any kind of like closing on this framing device. Like they don't go back to their lives, at least not where we see it. It just ends. Like after Jesus dies, spoilers for the Bible, it just ends.
Yeah, Bible spoilers happening. We got to inform you. This episode has some Bible spoilers.
Yeah, it's rare. It's very odd.
Yeah, it's bizarre to me because they halfway adapted this. They half-assed how they adapted this because it's the most. Okay, so let's keep some of the experimentation with some of the parables, but because this is not theater, because cinema, you cannot, unless it's a one-off thing where you're literally interacting with the movie itself by some like gimmick on the theater. You cannot really interact with people in a movie the same way you interact in this theater base. So what happens? They half-assed it by adding a plot, I guess, in the start, just making it them mucking around for most of it, and then just Jesus gets betrayed by Judas and killed by the cops. Movie ends. Big Bible.
Yeah, the movie just meanders along. The songs don't really do a lot to develop the characters for most of it.
There's really no characters. It's just about they just keep the parable elements, but they don't really do anything about it. They feel watered down. From a thing I haven't even seen, and I can tell it's watered down.
Yeah. It's very much. The director said, "This is not a Jesus movie. This is not a Jesus people movie." And also, the choreography is done bad on purpose to make it more natural, which is not how you do natural. You don't
Like,
plan a choreography to be like less good on purpose to make it more natural.
Like I mentioned before, it's bizarre. The director went on a big thing about, oh, this is not the past music, or this is how the people really dance, the teens dance, and like, I was not born in the 70s. I can tell you kids were not actually dancing like they do in Godspell. No one danced like this.
Yeah, like... This would only make sense if the only people you saw ever dancing were like extremely high on some drugs. And they were
Like,
just thinking they're clowns and also apostles. Like yes, that would be authentic in that case.
Like, let's have a conversation about this for a second. It makes a lot of sense that the director said it's not a Jesus people movie, because again, this movie feels so... It's weird for me to say this, and because I'm so used to this being said by weird right-wing weirdos. It's like, this is genuine. This is not some like Wallen Christmas here. This is genuine. Like, they removed Jesus out of the Jesus musical. It feels so a-Christian, so a-meaning. It's basically Christian. They say they do parables. They say shit from the Bible, but it feels so meaningless. It has no religiousness in it. It's so a-Jesus, a-religious.
Yeah, so apparently this got written because the writer of this got thrown out of a Bible service for how he was dressed.
Yeah?
And so I see like a powerful idea in the musical itself, or somebody being disappointed by like the rigidness of like organized religion and its structures, and then going ahead on trying to make it more joyful, I guess. But in the movie, it just comes over as like mindless. Like, it's just like they're playing it up, and they're like playing these like clowns that just durdle around a bit.
I'm always afraid that when doing this podcast that I don't explain the movie enough, so it feels just like two people that have seen movies talking about the movies in a way that most people that have not seen the movies don't get it. And I'm very sorry if that's the case with Godspell. The thing with Godspell is it's just hard to explain, because it's literally just, I cannot explain the plot, I cannot give more details or context, because it's just people mucking around till Jesus gets scared by the cops. It's just that. It's nothing else.
Yeah, you couldn't do a plot by plot thing without saying they go to a place, they do a bunch of silly sketches, they sing a song, they go to another place, and that just repeats.
The only thing I can say is that they made some anti-Semitic statues.
Yeah, Jesus thanks. There's more weird anti-Semitism here. Like, the priests basically show up as this weird... I can only describe it as like some big golem that is like operated by multiple people, and it's like a statue that moves around and speaks.
Yeah.
And it looks like a caricature, like it has a big nose and all. It's not good. It's very bad.
I think it's meant to be like a Wizard of the Force thing. But the thing is, when you do a Wizard of the Force thing, if like, there's some Jewish people here besides like a big machine with the golem, it's like, first golems, second Jewish people hidden behind disguising themselves. There's so much to unpack in this movie.
The first time we watched the movie, I didn't even get that it was meant to be like the Jewish priest. I thought it was Satan. The first time I just thought they talked to the devil there. And that's just bad conveyance, right? If I don't even get which part of the Bible they're talking about.
It's like, when I first saw it, I thought it was just, this is just some wacky thing. It's just so wide, and I'm like, then I watched this movie with Ludo. This is one of the only movies I rewatched after watching it. In the movie group I am with Ludo, even once it's recovered here, And it's just, I realized, oh no, this is actually anti-Semitism. It's like, what the fuck is even wrong with this movie?
What is wrong with this movie? That's a good question that we sadly cannot answer on this podcast because there's too many things. I would not say watch this movie, but also if you want to experience what bad musical is like, this is right up there. I think this is worse than Xanadu.
Xanadu at least tried to do something.
It's the bop, the main song, that's a bop.
It has a soundtrack by Yellow Electric Orchestra. I have a song for them. Good band. You could listen to 3 albums by them, by Electric Yellow Orchestra. Electric Light Orchestra. And like, enjoy them. Go watch some like 70s, listen to some 70s rock or something. Don't watch Godspell.
Yeah.
Even listen to the Beatles, I don't know.
Just do anything except watch this movie.
Okay.
I think the teams, I think that's like a tough thing to talk about because like we're indirectly talking about the themes of the Bible, and that's like a very complex thing, I think.
We are not theologians, is the thing. We are not theologians.
Yeah. Like we're gonna start with Jesus Christ Superstar. The spirituality, responsibility, and betrayal.
Liberation of an oppressed people, obsessions, wealth, betrayals, obsessions with wealth.
That's the thing. There's so much.
It's the Bible. It's genuinely whatever relationship you have with the Bible, because it is a text that's been used for imperialism, racism, bigotry. The thing with the Bible is whatever relationship you have with it, negative, positive, mixed, it is genuinely a long text because it's all the parts of the Bible. The New Testament is just one part of it. They are finding elements of religions, of a global culture that are still important. You cannot dissect that, even just an adaptation of that, in like 1 hour, 2 hour, even 3 hour podcast, because there's so much context in how it got interpreted, in what it's saying, the various translations, which translations are being used even.
Yeah. Like all I can say is that they do interesting things in Jesus Christ Superstars with the themes that the Bible provided. That's basically my whole take here.
Yeah, what I can say is, I guess the other elements, like you have the mix of like qualities and the oath was a bit saying that this is still a hill, this issues, discriminations, etc., and also like the blend with that is like also of course issues of like militarism, issues of like wealth, how that's still a thing. The other elements of like also a bit of self-commentary with other nuance about Judas, Mary Magdalene, about the portrayals of those characters historically. Also, of course, you have like the traditional elements of like Jesus, like is like the new elements of like there's of course a bit stuff we got in music, because like we mentioned, besides anti-Semitism, King Herod is like a record producer. Jesus Christ is a superstar. This is very much, it is a musical. It's tied to this of like making it big, staying true to yourself, selling out.
Yeah.
All of which I think is interesting and dissect. It's just it's basic. It's a dinner plate of themes to analyze. And
kind of explodes the scope of the podcast.
What I can say is I think most of them, again, those issues, most of them are given nuance. I think this is a good interpretation of a lot of Bible themes, with, of course, the caveats of anti-Semitism and, of course, auto-messiness. Like, the portrayal of Mary Magdalene is still very much like, there's still a lot of messiness because it was a 70s movie dealing with, like, sex workers, so there's still messiness with how her being a sex worker is portrayed, because it's a bit tight, like, okay, Jesus says she's okay, so she's okay.
Yeah, they do the whole cast the first stone thing, and Judas is like all bummed out about her like being close to Jesus.
Yeah. So like, but I think as an adaptation, it's interesting in how it adapts to modern themes of like this has always been there, like militarism of socialism happening in the 70s, of course, because it's using the Bible, like the segment of the Bible, to tell about socialism happening in the 70s. That's still, of course, happening now. So, like, I think as an adaptation of those themes, I think it works as mostly well.
Okay, let's wrap this up because we gotta move on. Gotta go to the
Godspell.
bad movie again.
Themes of Godspell. Let's go. What's the theme of Godspell? Well, tell me.
I guess there's a naive optimism.
Um,
And then there's a bunch of Bible parables that kind of don't really jive with that because they're often like mention basically being damned because of sins.
Don't trust cops. The only thing I agree
Yeah,
with
the
is
end
that-
also has don't trust cops. But yeah, there's a bunch of there's the parable of who's the guy who came back to life before Jesus? Lazarus.
Yeah, Lazarus, the guy, the resurrection guy.
Yeah, we get Lazarus, and it's like hell is like portrayed by a chute where you go into a cave and there's people with scary masks. That's like the one parable I really remember. And then there's a bunch of talk about like hell. That's basically it. Like, I think there's an attempt to say like that Christianity can be a relief of like the stressful city life, like that faith can set you free from that.
Yeah.
That's like the closest I come to like a message here. But also we never get closure on those people that were stressed by their life and then found to Jesus. It just ends after he dies. We don't see if their life is like improved in any way after that.
I guess this is not a theme, but I've seen some pieces that I not said that are like, Godspell represents the spirit of New York.
Yeah,
I
you sent
don't
me
get
one of
it.
those. There was one that talked about the World Trade Center a lot.
Yeah, I don't get it. I guess they go along New York a lot.
I mean, if
They
you
just-
if you live in New York and like you like the city or you have a relationship to it, then seeing it in this movie can like probably like give you some more than like people from Europe watching it
Yeah.
who only know New York from movies.
I only know the Alias New York in England.
Yeah, I only know
guess.
York. We don't respect New York here.
Yeah, no, I don't respect the American, the medium legally distinct European city names. That's European appropriation, I guess.
Yeah,
Not really.
New Bern.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway, we don't like. You can tell we're doing bits. We like. There's not a lot to say. It's a movie. Like again, just to finish, I guess my thing. But this is a spell of Godspell. The thing is, this is just so apolitical, ableist. It's a movie that like. It's not even that it doesn't want to offend no one. It just feels like it has no idea. It just feels like nothing. And
Jesus
like,
is Superman.
Yeah, he's the Superman.
He has
He's
a Superman t-shirt.
I guess.
Yeah, let's just move on because like I can't bear this anymore.
Sorry.
No, I just don't want to talk about this movie more than I have to. I already said good things sometimes, I feel like. I hope I said something positive about Godspell. It's really hard just to tell the listeners. It's really hard to say something good about this movie. Let's go to cultural relevance of Jesus Christ Superstar.
It's a movie like Jesus Christ Superstar. It's a movie that recently it got like it's first of course it's an adaptation of a stage play. So like the stage play is still going. It's still getting sold in East to like new business of theater. Like the movie's still messing a lot. I think it's a lasting piece of pop culture, even outside of America.
Yeah.
It's like there's people probably in Europe that remember seeing it. It was a big hit in England. So like it is very much like a still popular part of pop culture.
Yeah, it's evergreen from one of the most well-known musical composers of all time. Like
Yeah,
all Andrew Lloyd, most Andrew Lloyd Webber musicals are gonna be like remembered for a long time.
Yeah, God, he sadly is like one of the most big composers in the musical space, and just one of the biggest people in theater ever in general. So all his plays are gonna be remembered.
Yeah. Godspell.
From what I can tell, the musical still remembered. The Godspell musical is apparently very popular in Canada. No, from what I've been told, but no one, even the Godspell likers of the theater of the musical, like the movie. No one seems to like this. Basically, it has.
I mean, apparently children liked it.
It is a very children-like movie.
Yeah, apparently children who saw it like on PBS or some shit, they kind of vibed with it. But like, if you don't already have nostalgia for this movie, just watching it for the first time as an adult in like the 2020s, it will be the most jarring experience. You will question how this was put in theaters. Like, you will question how producers watched this movie and weren't like, yeah, this is the good shit. We gotta put this in theaters.
We gotta put this in theaters. It's gonna be here with the kids.
But yeah, this hasn't aged nearly as well as Jesus Christ Superstar. That's basically all I have. Okay. Cinematography.
I really like how Jesus Christ Superstar it's shot. It's very much theatrical. A lot of them are like big shots. There's a lot of nice shots of they shoot in Israel. There's a lot of like. It's very much like stage like. It's a bit like a movie version of like a musical. To be honest, it's like you feel like you're just making like this big bombastic thing and how it's shot. It's just good.
Yeah, very nice looking movie. There's cool cinematography, like wide angles of the landscapes and all. Caves and old cities, they all get used very well. And what I especially noticed was like the use of superimposition, like where they layered multiple shots or scenes over each other. That was done very nicely. Like, I really enjoyed how the movie looks.
Yeah, I really like it.
Godspell.
So apparently, at least how the songs were shot, they were shot to be realistic and not at the fair. So this is like the most fucking white thing I ever heard. It's a movie, but it's a musical based on an experimental theater play that wants to be not at the fair and how it looked, and you can tell because it's horrible. It's just horrible.
There's some nice shots of New York, but like the first time I watched this, I thought most of it was shot on a set.
Yeah, it feels staged, but not in an intentional way, because they wanted to go away from the artifice. It's just they make it look like they were shot in a stage.
Yeah, there's nothing too exceptional here in terms of camera work or like cinematography. It's just all very basic. There's some, I guess, cool ideas, like when they shoot in front of that weird screen in Times Square that like projects their dancing image. That was very hard to do, I found out.
Yeah.
That's probably the most challenging thing they did in that movie. But also it's like a 2-minute scene in a movie that just goes on forever. Yeah. Just not much to talk about here.
Yeah. Jesus Christ Superstar, very well shot. Godspell, not the best.
Yeah. I failed my mission of saying a lot of nice things about Godspell, I feel.
Wow. What's next?
We're at the last segment, which is very important for both these movies because they're musicals. Soundtrack. Jesus Christ Superstars.
I really like it's a very eclectic, diverse soundtrack. You get rock numbers, you get power ballads, you get very much like emotional or sad songs. You even got I think some funk, right? There's like some funky songs there.
I think there's like a soul piece and something that's like close to a gospel song.
Yeah, there's like a lot of use of songs, and like, of course, soul music is music that has religious ties specific to like African American, like Black Christianity. Same with gospel also. So like you feel at least for us is they knew how to use the like music that very much comes from like Christianity and like a honest Christianity, alongside like more I guess like rock and roll.
Yeah.
Like more like I guess mainstream stuff.
Yeah, they make very good use of basically all the contemporary genres of the time, like that were popular in pop music. It's very cleverly done.
It feels dated, but like in a good way, because it very much feels like a thing from the 70s, but in it showcases like the good stuff from the 70s, like the music. Like it's just showcasing good 70s music all around in different ways. And like then you have like you mentioned the King Hair's like song, which is going back in time.
It's still a pretty good Broadway number.
Yeah, it's still like as a song itself, it's pretty decent. And like thematically goes with like in how it goes. Do you think you're a superstar? Do you think you can go with like it does have some thematic stuff with questioning, even because he's questioning himself, like is he really the superstar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all very good composed. They have good lyrics that are like interesting to think about and to listen to, and that develop the characters.
Yeah, just two things. My favorite line, as I said, is I can't remember the name. Do you know the one like Jesus is being questioned by the people asking him for things, like I mentioned, and the first two of the songs was also very good.
Yeah, the first Judas song is pretty incredible. Like it just starts out with a real rock soul number, and it's very powerful.
Like just saying, the Scarlett Anderson was like a very much talented musician. He was somebody that did a lot of like backing vocals to like songs, including people like Stevie Wonder. This is somebody that had genuinely a lot of talent and like did a lot of very wonderful like vocal music and sounds, and was a very talented performer.
Yeah, his voice is incredible in this movie.
It's just really good. I really like the emotionality. I think this is not question art in the sense of like a question artist, but one of the things I can say is like a Catholic person, for like all of the complexities I have because of these is with certain sectors and also a lot of mainstream Christianity. I will say this: as somebody that is Catholic and has seen a lot of Christian art, when you see Christian art, even art that's not by Christians or made to be the most deep Christian art, that just feels like it comes from an honest place, not coming to be like and it's not the evangelical industry, you feel something. You feel very much emotionality. That's what I feel with Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah, I'm not directly connected to like Christian spirituality, but like I could feel the expression of spirituality in the movie.
Yeah. Do you want to go to Godspell?
Let's do it. I think this is the most positive I'm gonna get, but it's mostly because I liked one song.
Was it the last song?
No, it's the one song that charted actually from the musical.
Wait, this.
Yeah, Day by Day charted. Day by day, oh dear Lord.
Oh, that's the opening song, right?
No, that's like in the middle when they're like in the junkyard.
Oh, okay, I remember that now, but yeah. I think, like, here's the thing, from what I can tell, they say stuff how some of the music sounds, because in the original play, they use more rock guitars, and they removed that for the most part, besides, I think, the last song.
Yeah, there's one electric guitar solo in the last song, and there's no electric guitar, basically, in the rest of the movie.
Which is weird, because it seems like they used heavily the original play use it. But anyway, I think the songs are fine. I think you very much can notice how they would sing, but I think they're probably one of the more positive elements of, like, Godspell. They're fine.
Yeah, most of it didn't really leave much of an impression. There's one song where Lynn Thigpen gets like a bunch of solo parts, and there you can really hear how good her voice is. Like she has a really perfect voice for like soul and gospel solos. You can hear it if you watch the making of. We're gonna link that because watching the making of is probably more fun than watching the movie because you can hear the pretensions of the director. But yeah, overall, I don't have much to say except that like Day by Day is a pretty good song.
Yeah, I kind of like the last song, so
it's catchy. The last song is pretty catchy, which I can't say for most of these songs because I watched the movie twice and I don't remember most of these songs.
Kind of same, but anyway, that has been all the segments.
That's the episode, everybody.
No, before we do the one I'm Amazon item to sign off, do we have closing statements on this both movies?
Watch Jesus Christ Superstar.
Beware
of Godspell.
For all it says, Jesus Christ Superstar is a piece of art that genuinely feels like emotional, genuinely feels like it has meaning, and genuinely makes you feel emotional for its flaws. Godspell is better. Like I said, I'm not gonna be like the queerest and nostalgic critic or whatever and say it needs to be the story or anything, but like it fundamentally is just not it's just a fundamentally very like really it's just not that interesting or emotional, just think that it's not good.
True. So
Okay.
we have a special number generator this week because we gotta pick a horror movie or horror related movie.
Okay, so let's pick
1 to 20 is I think there's 20 entries.
Okay, 7 Gremlin, 1 and Ghoulies.
Let's go. That's actually good because Scary Movie was on that list and I would have died.
Don't you want to cover Scary Movie?
Maybe in a couple years.
Yeah, in the next Halloween. Anyway.
Where can we find you, Alice?
Alice Rule of 1 on Twitter, Alice Rule of What on Twitter. I have a Patreon, I'll link it behind it. I'm Alice Rule of What on Patreon. Where you can find you, Ludo?
Ludovico_limited on Twitter. That's basically all of it. And don't forget to support us on Patreon if you enjoy this program.
Anyway, bye.
See y'all. Bye.
Tarzan.
This is Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle.
I am the Lord of the Jungle. Used to matching my wits against others. Used to fighting for survival. I am Tarzan. The entire jungle is my home. I won't let them destroy my jungle. Kill my friends and drive me from my home.
Lives are not meant to be wasted.